Hi, and welcome to The Leader's Edge, our weekly live interview show where Georgia Donaldson and I,
Morning.
Emily Chivo, we feature successful CEOs and professionals who are so kind to share their stories with us. We want to bring you awareness, inspiration, and leadership tips for you to action so that you can sharpen your competitive advantage and make a positive impact in your organization and community. Remember, if you're watching us live, you can leave a message on LinkedIn or comment, and one of our speakers can address it. Or you can even do that on the replay, and we will try to get back to this. So, today we are speaking with Leslie Ann Wills Canton, and she wants to share her passion for the business of storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, and as usual, Georgia will introduce Leslie in a couple of seconds, but I want to invite you to consider this. I mean, we know stories, they have long captivated our imaginations and our hearts, right? They are the way that our civilizations have propagated itself over centuries, right? This is how we survived over all of these many, thousands of years.
Mm-hmm.
And they are integral to how we experience the world and can be very powerful. We know this. We know it from a good movie. We feel empowered to act by a good movement, a story behind a movement, and we can identify with brands. So if storytelling is that powerful, are you curious about how to use this medium more in your business and in leadership? And that's exactly what Leslie is going to help us understand and unpack a little bit in 15 minutes today. So, Georgia, let's begin.
Oh my goodness. This is Monday again, Emily. I love to say that every Monday morning when we meet, it's Monday at 7. And I know we have some persons who are up and watching and listening already. And we have the lovely Leslie Ann with us this morning. I remember when I looked at your profile, Leslie, and I saw film fanatic. I said, wow, that's a different one. That's cute. Then culinary adventurer. I saw that as well. And you are a film commissioner. When we met with you, that was the first time I was hearing of a film commissioner. Yes, and I've been familiar with film festivals in Trinidad and Tobago, but you told me about so many other film festivals. And so, in your own unique style, I'm asking everyone. So, gather around, children. Let's listen. It's story time because Leslie Ann is going to introduce herself in her own style. And she's going to start by telling us how she got into film, becoming film commissioner, and what that has been doing for Trinidad and Tobago. Leslie, over to you.
Thank you so much, Georgia and Emily. Well, got around story time. Storytelling started as a child. I grew up in a family of actors and storytellers, and I remember always understanding that your story is your narrative. And if it's one thing that stayed with me, it's facts tell, stories sell. And so from a very young age, in writing my own story and telling it, I was able to now be able to showcase. Now, in being able to do that, as I got older, I worked on film productions, and then I remember wanting to tell more stories. And when I created a particular film called The Hike, I wanted to be able to share it, and I realized I didn't have a platform for it. And I said, you know what? I will build my own platform. And I launched the Film and Folklore Festival. Now, bear with me because before that, I was working on other stories and other films. I do feature films, TV series, commercials, music videos. I worked on the back end. But when I took to the front and started to tell my own story was when people started to pay attention. And in paying attention and building that narrative, I was able to apply to become the film commissioner for Trinidad and Tobago.
Ah,
Film commissioner. Now, that role is a very important one because we represent the country as an ambassador. We promote Trinidad and Tobago, firstly, as a film friendly destination, and we're able to, of course, encourage investment. So we tell people come to Trinidad and Tobago, tell your stories, represent your brand, and of course, we can be able to create foreign direct investment, job creation, and an entire multiplier effect. So, of course, as film commissioner, I represent Trinidad and Tobago. I represent storytelling. I represent the brand of the country to be able to first go to countries and promote us, tell them about our cashback incentives, which we do have. And so we
Okay.
encourage that if people come to Trinidad and Tobago, there's an incentive where you get cashback on each dollar you spend in Trinidad and
Wow.
and of course, based on that, you realize that for every leader and for every business, the story is what starts you off. And that is what I do. I promote storytelling.
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness. You see that, Emily? In her own style, her own storytelling style. She ran from her childhood straight through to being film commissioner. That's wonderful. Good.
Yeah. It almost sounded like the when you tell it like that, like you were
Mhm.
meant you kind of it was like leveling up each time and
Yes.
getting to this position. So how do we link the storytelling, like, so our topic is the business of storytelling, and I think you
Mhm.
started to make that link for us. Let's talk about how leaders in business can apply and use storytelling, and why you feel like you're an advocate for that. I know you're an advocate for, like, as you said, bringing people in to experience our culture, and I think when we were talking, we even talked about using our local stories to
Mhm.
sort of make our brands unique, because we are in this global space. So what
Mhm.
makes our brands Trinidadian? Like, why would somebody want to have what we have versus what somebody in North America or somewhere else has? So talk to us about how you see the storytelling and creating maybe your brand or your leadership style, even as you know something to that we should put together as leaders.
Sure. So the first thing I want to say is when you go for an interview or you have to present a bio, what do people ask you? Tell me about yourself. And
Mhm.
is a story. How can you tell that story to get the audience to understand your brand, to understand what you stand for, to understand the value, and of course to remember? And what I think is so important about telling a story about yourself, we've done research, and the research says that you are 22 more times you're able to recall a story and information based on a story as opposed
Mhm.
to facts. And so, from using a story, using who we are, being from the Caribbean, which is very engaging, what you've noticed is that attracts people in. So, if you say, okay, hi, I'm Leslie Ann Wells Caton, and I have a film and folklore festival, and of course, in my culture, we talk about Anansi, we talk about the Sukunya, we talk about the Laja Bless. They're like,
Mhm.
what is that? And of
Mhm.
course, even in my travels, I've realized when I've been to Ghana, there's also an Anansi. Anansi also started in Ghana. And
Mhm.
telling a story and being proud of what your storytelling and your where you came from, you build that relationship and
Yes.
you build resonance. People can identify and being able to understand and own your brand, your individual brand story, people remember you more. And so I
Mhm.
will tell any professional, any leader, any business owner, find a story around your brand, find a story around you, and so that when people are talking about it, they'll remember you for the story.
I love that, Leslie Ann. Particularly when you talk about connections, building connections, how stories help to build connections. Because when we talk to leaders and we say to them, if you want to improve your impact, you want to engage your people. And there's hardly any better way to engage your people than to share stories with them because that makes you feel real or seem real, those stories. So,
Correct.
what advice would you be giving to leaders about storytelling, especially CEOs and those in the C suite?
Yes. So the advice I want to give CEOs is that first, an audience, any audience, want to be able to relate to you, and that's where
Mhm.
credibility comes in as a CEO. They want to
Right.
look at your competence and your character, and based on that, are you sincere? Are you genuine? And can they feel, based on their frame of reference, that they
Mhm.
understand you and you could relate to them? So, as a CEO or a leader, understanding your audience, understanding your messaging and how to package your message based on the audience is important
Yes.
because that's how they will remember and that's how they will say, ah, this is a credible person. I like their character. I
Mhm.
like who they say they are. And they will remember the messaging. And
Yeah.
that's important.
Excellent. Emily, I'm wondering if we should give her 20 seconds to tell us about the film festivals in Trinidad and Tobago. Because I remember I knew one or two, but she had shared with us that there are several film festivals. So we want to give you an opportunity to talk about that. Because maybe some of our CEOs or C-suiters don't even know about some of these festivals.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, of course. So we have several film festivals in Trinidad and Tobago, and I want to say the government of Trinidad and Tobago, we also financially support these festivals in order to
Mm-hmm.
encourage filmmakers to create content and you, the audience, to attend and see what stories are being told. So there's
Mm-hmm.
the Trinidad and Tobago Film Festival that happens in September. It's happening this year. In June, we have the Caribbean Film Festival. We also have the Green Screen Environmental Film Festival. We have an animation film festival called Anime Carib. And of course, I have the Film and Folklore Festival. So several festivals. It happens between from April, June, September, October, November, and you can attend and see. We have workshops, capacity development, and
Mm-hmm.
films. Lots of films telling our stories.
Nice. Love
Yeah.
that. That Emily.
Even
We
though I think I knew like two of those. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
we have to
And
catch
I
some
guess
of those.
and when we have it, it's local as well as regional content, or it's
Yes,
mostly yeah, yeah.
so
Okay.
local as well as regional and international. But what
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
we focus on is how it represents our culture, our narratives, and the main thing is providing a platform for our filmmakers to tell
Mm-hmm.
stories and for you, the audience, to see and appreciate the stories that make up our beautiful Twin Island.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
And it's so
And of
important
course,
for people to be exposed to these things.
well, I
Correct.
was gonna say, of course, too. I mean, George and I, we probably focus when we think of our leaders, we think usually business.
Mm-hmm.
However, there's the business of the creative industry as well.
Yes, yes.
So, what I'm hearing is, as you say, the multiplier effect. I mean, but there's a lot as we continue to grow. This is supposed to be one of the growth industries for us as
Mm-hmm.
another way of getting foreign exchange and
Mm-hmm.
also getting ourselves, as you say,
Diversifying the
more
economy.
on the map in terms of
Mm-hmm.
people coming here, people wanting to come here. I think you had written a post about when when we invite people in, or when they are like people do a movie or something using your country, the
Right.
tourism in that country increases tremendously.
Yes.
And I think that has been shown several times, like with New Zealand and different places, depending on the films that are shown.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's also another thing that I think businesses can sort of look at or be aware of in terms of, how do we, because I think film in terms of you need investments for film.
Oh
So
yes. Oh yeah. That's
so from a business standpoint too, who are the investors and who are the people looking on at this industry as a growth, a space for growth as well,
mm-hmm.
um
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So any comments on that in terms of how you guys are attracting people into the industry from different aspects outside of you telling us, yes, we need to tell more stories, which I think we do.
So we do several platforms. So of course we do international advertising. So you might see we might post in the trades. And so of course like with each industry we have trades that we will do an ad. Of course we will get invited to different countries to promote. I was actually invited to attend the World Audiovisual and Entertainment Summit in India at the beginning of May. And that was able to, I met with, it had over 90 countries. I met with film commissioners from all over the world, filmmakers from all over. But whilst I was in India, I'm promoting coming to Trinidad and Tobago to film. And so that personal one-on-one interaction, inviting them to come. Of course, I would promote our incentives. I would promote the businesses that we have. And one of the main things we also talk about that we encourage business owners is product placement. You can put a product in a film and the character is interacting with this film. Now
Mm-hmm.
remember, we buy based on emotion. And so
Mm-hmm.
once you could get that investor or the company or the CEO to understand that in aligning your product with the emotion of the storytelling in a beautiful country, sun, sea, and sand, then there's that relationship, that connection with the storytelling that people now want to experience themselves. And so as
Right.
go and present, invite them to come, advertising, social media, emails, meetings, one-on-ones, B2Bs, markets. We go to trade markets, we do missions in different countries, we attend film festivals. So all of those platforms is where we encourage and how we encourage investment in our local film industry.
This
And
lady is busy.
last but not least, Judge, because I'm looking at the time, I do
Yes.
recall, like as Leslie was speaking, Leslie I was speaking about appreciation and like the necessity to continue what is unique about our culture, our food, and about us. Because what are we selling when you think of it? It's this package, right? And if we become, I think you had, when we had said a very interesting thing that, through film and through telling our stories, this is how we expand knowledge and continuity of our culture.
Right.
And if we are taking in too much of an external culture, we are becoming more like them, or vice
Yes.
versa. So
Yes.
talk to us a little bit about that too, in terms of why our stories need to be us, unique to us, and really increasing that sense of localness and not trying to be like everybody else. I'm curious about that. How would
Correct.
you, what do you say about that?
I always say, because I work in the media, the person who controls the narrative controls the pace. And what
Right.
that if in terms of branding, I am able to only listen to foreign brands, then I will be buying foreign branding.
Right.
And so Trinidad and Tobago, we have to understand that if we do not tell our stories, or we do not align our products to our stories, then the audience will not want it. They will not know it. And so the importance of being able to not just consume foreign media, we have to realize we have to show Trinidad and Tobago the alignment with our local foods, with our local activities. So we should see a storyline with marble pitch or hopscotch and align that to buying with a local product and with the continuity. Because I remember when I was growing up, that was the rise of cable channel and the direct TV. And I remember being very much fascinated with the foreign culture, the food, our style of dressing changed. And before that, we had the TTT. We would look at our local stories, our local narratives, and we bought into the culture. And I felt that we started losing that. And that's one of the main reasons I went into the film direction and media. I realized the significance of understanding who we are and the
Right.
story. And if we lose that, then we would lose the attraction and what makes Trinidad and Tobago so unique if we don't and align it to the products that we sell.
That's so true. And continue to be true to ourselves so people see us as a unique culture. Wonderful. So Leslie, those who are listening, watching, and those who will catch it on the replay, if there's nothing else you want them to take away from it, tell them one thing that you want them to
Well,
take away.
people don't buy products, they buy the story that the product allows them to tell about themselves. And that's important. And when you think about creating a product or finding a storyline for the product, think about your audience or your customer and how that product will make them be able to tell that story about them. And once you understand that as a business owner or CEO, you would see the significance of aligning a positive story with your brand.
That's so true. Thank you so much. And I see that there's a
Yeah.
comment that Lisa made. No, it's Rachel. It's Rachel Rennie who made that comment. She says, telling our local food story is a big part of this too.
Correct.
Yes. Oh, how
Yeah.
unique the food of Trinidad and Tobago. Wonderful. Emily,
Yeah.
this has been refreshing, fascinating. Leslie Ann, thank you. So over to you, Emily, to wrap.
Yes, Leslie Ann, thank you so much for bringing your specific point of view to to our audience in terms of the need to tell our stories, the need to link our stories to our culture and what makes us unique, and also the importance of um, thinking of our audience and how the story of our brand, of our product, of whatever it is that we're selling makes them feel, how it makes them improve their lives or what it does to them. So I love that. I think, sometimes we know this, but sometimes we forget. I think you said it in the beginning, what facts tell and stories.
Story.
Sell. Story sell.
Tell, was it that?
Yes. Sell,
Facts
yes.
tell and
And
stories
story
tell.
sell.
So, and of course, we don't want to just tell stories, but we also want them to be credible and real. So we must live those stories, right?
Right.
So what we're doing always, people would see, people will know if it's real, true, and all of that. So thank you, Leslie Ann, for making the time for us this morning, for sharing your story, and for helping our audience hopefully tell more stories.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you. Have a wonderful morning, rest of the day, and beautiful week.